Welcome to the Lay Low Pod, the podcast that keeps it real while you figure things out. I'm Erin, and let's lay low. If you're in a season of becoming where life doesn't look how it used to, but not quite how it will, you're in the right place. Sometimes to grow, you have to lay low. Hello. Welcome to the Lay Low Pod. My name is Erin. I'm so happy you're here with me today. I have a couple items of business to start with today. First off, it is now time to welcome some guests on the Lay Low Pod. I'm very excited about this. A lot of you have asked me if I had plans to have guests on the pod or kind of what the plan was, but I wanted to really get my story as a real foundation to this podcast. I wanted to get that down first, and I feel like I'm getting there. Maybe a couple more things I want to say on my own, but I'm ready to start opening it up to you to share your story with me. So if you go to laylowpod.com, there is a tab that says share your story. And there are two different formats that I'm going to be introducing, and I'm really excited about both of them. And I want people to be brave. I want you to be brave and really think about, is there something in your life that you could share that could possibly help other people? That is the whole point of this podcast, is support during that really tough season when you're going through change. So the first segment that I would love guests for is called In the Thick of It. And this is an anonymous segment where you can come on. You don't have to share who you are, your name or anything. And you are going through a major life transition or a challenge or a decision, just something, and you need a little help talking it out. You need a little help navigating it. It could be a career change. It could be a faith shift. It could be a relationship crossroad, grief, burnout. I mean, maybe you're just feeling stuck and you just want to talk it out. So we will do a little 30-minute episode and I'll give you some advice. I am not an expert of anything, but I have been through a lot of change myself. And I have done a lot of personal development where hopefully we could talk it out and help get you through something that is really hard right now. So if you feel better doing that without sharing your real name, that is completely fine. We have no problem with people being anonymous on this podcast. The second segment is called This I Know. And this I know is really when you're on the other side of a big change, of a big transition. And I want you to be ready to share what you learned along the way. So we'll first kind of go into your story of what you experienced. And then I want you to come on and share 5 lessons that you've learned. And this could be, it could be so many things. It could be starting over any part of your life. It could be personal growth. It could be a health challenge. It could be some sort of an accident. It could be dealing with kids as a parent. It could be work, starting a business. It could be a divorce, rebuilding your life, a career change. I mean, so many different things that you went through a big change, but you're on the other side of it. So really, I would love guests that are either in the thick of it, in the middle of something really hard, and we just need to talk it out. Or if you feel like you've gone through something, you're on the other side and you have these lessons that you want to share, I would love to talk about those with you as well. So on our site, you can share your story. And I'm really excited. It's been fun. I've been talking to people just in real time and encouraging people that I know have stories. I mean, everybody has a story. And it just takes, a few minutes of bravery to go in and fill out a form and share a little bit. And it doesn't mean that you even have to do the podcast if you apply. We can talk it out. So I want my listeners to just be brave. And, I've had to be brave right now sharing my story. And I've, heard from so many of you that it's helped. And I just know that everybody has a story and you have a story, and I would love to hear it. I would love it if you would like to share. It's already been fun. I've been hearing from people from my past, which is interesting and fun. But I heard from one old friend and he was like, just such a big fan of the podcast and just is loving all of it. And he said, is our story going to kind of pop up at any time? And I'm like, oh my gosh, as I sit down with guests and you guys are talking about your changes, I feel like it's just naturally going to bring out more experiences from my own life. I am really excited to hear your stories. I'm excited to read what you are wanting to share. I'm just really excited about this part. And I'm still going to be doing my own podcast mixed in, just me talking, sharing thoughts. But I'm very, very excited to be able to hear some of your stories. Watching and reading this last week, I watched a crazy documentary on Netflix called Maternal Instinct. It is the story of a girl in Texas. I want to say she's like in her late 20s, but she is currently on death row. And she's the youngest female on death row right now in Texas. And it's the story of what happened, what she did. It is wild, wild, wild. The other thing I'm watching is The Burrows on Netflix. And it is from the creators of Stranger Things. And I didn't watch Stranger Things, but really loving this. It's got a little sci-fi twist to it, but it's not too much. I'm not super into all the sci-fi, but this is really good. It's got Gina Davis in it, and she was, in Thelma and Louise, and she's 70 years old, and she's a total hottie, and it's just been a fun show. I'm almost done with that one. Reading, I am reading one called Outliners, and it is more of a business book. It's about people who are successful and kind of like the psychology behind two people next to each other, what the factors are that can kind of make a person more successful than another. And that's been interesting as well. But yeah, I'm always watching and reading an array of different things. So I always want to share if it's something good. But we are talking today is a listener question, and it was asked a couple times, but basically they want to talk about dating advice. And I want to talk about kind of different timelines, different ages of dating, because I know there's listeners here that are on all different ages. So I was thinking about my dating experiences, and really I was single in really 3 different timelines in my own life. So I would say when I was in college at BYU, I was single and dating and looking for a husband. And then after my divorce, I was single and dating and looking for my next relationship. And then after this 5-year relationship, I, again, out into the dating world at a different time in my mid 40s. So it's really funny to think how different each of these chapters have been in my own life and how I am just been completely different people, it feels like. And back at BYU, I mean, we've talked about this before, but at BYU, I literally was dating to find a husband. I had a list of everything that I wanted in my future husband, and I would say at least 75% of those things were spiritual based. It was because I was Mormon. That was really my only identity that I had at that time, and it would show through with what my focus was with looking for this next relationship. So it was things like how spiritual they were, the future that we wanted, and it was all really connected to the Mormon Church. And at that time, I really did just think that if I loved somebody enough, that it would work. I remember just wanting to be in love. I had really not been in love. I had high school relationship situations, but I don't think I was really in love until I was married. Dating at BYU is interesting. I remember being on a first date at the original Cafe Rio, which, if you know, it is really close to BYU campus. It was in a strip mall. It is very close to where my son lives, actually. But I was on a first date at this Cafe Rio, and I remember thinking this guy was really cute. He was a returned missionary. And I mean, basically, he had the things that I was looking for. And he told me that I remember specifically, he told me that when he goes on dates, he looks at the girl's arms to see if they were skinny or fat, because if they were fat arms, he knew that they would probably end up being overweight after they had their children. And that was like something that was looking for in his future wife, was her arms. Like, literally told me that on my first date. And it's just so funny to think how I was just so about the church stuff. And then here I was with this guy who was checking out my arms, and I'm sure my arms were too big because he didn't ask me out again. But it was just very much about image and very much about like how good of a person you could find. It was just like really the Mormon religion, a lot of it is tied to like a quest for perfection. And I felt that with my dating experiences at BYU. But then I met my husband and we dated super fast. We met in February. We were talking about marriage by April. We got engaged in June. And then we wanted to get married in August, but my parents like threw a huge fit, rightfully so, they made us wait until November. So February to November, March, April, May, June, 9 months. I mean, 9 months from meeting somebody to marrying them. My therapist says now, like, you really need to date somebody for 12 months. You need to see them in all the different seasons before you really understand somebody. So that's always been Heather's advice, is just to see somebody in all 4 seasons, and then you can kind of have a good idea of who they are through the year. But anyway, so that was my BYU dating life, was just so much me trying to find the perfect Mormon husband and not really caring about anything else and thinking completely that love was enough to get through anything. Fast forward 15 years and that marriage ended and I was a little jaded and I was just thinking that love isn't enough. Yeah, you can love somebody, but there has to be so many other things in line for something to really work. And at that time, I was dating after my divorce, and I was really dating through a lot of healing time because I jumped right into dating. I would say that, like, I didn't waste any time after my divorce. I think I just kind of had been mentally out of it for a while. So by the time I was divorced, I was just ready to date. Um, Dating when you're unhealed is chaotic. I had, 2.5 years of dating after my divorce where I was on the dating apps, and that is a whole different experience and something that I oh my gosh. If you want advice about dating apps, I would just say, like, look at it like a part-time job because you're going to get out of it whatever you're putting into it. And if you are just like haphazardly scrolling and just checking in here and there, it's going to probably not be very successful. But if you can kind of go into it with intention and just really be clear about what you're looking for. A couple things I know I was looking for after my divorce was stability. I am a Taurus moon. I'm a Scorpio sun and a Taurus moon, but that Taurus moon in me really craves stability and craves security. And then the Scorpio in me is like the wild soul, the free spirit. So I need both things in my life. And I don't think at this time I had figured that out yet. I think I know that now, which is why I'm having different experiences at this point in my life. After my divorce, I was just looking for my next relationship that could bring me some sort of stability. But it was chaotic. My 2.5 years that I was single, I was going back and forth between the country and the city, and that didn't have any stability at all. Um, I was going on a lot of first dates. I was drinking a lot and I was probably partying too much and really just I think I probably wasn't the only ex-Mormon who got divorced and started going wild and drinking and just, doing whatever she wanted. So that was a chapter for me. And I look back on it and think, okay, Erin, I think I just had to go through it. I had to experience freedom in that way of what I thought I needed. I needed to feel that, but I also was just constantly looking for my next relationship because I wanted that security. I'm a relationship girl. I always have been. I always will be. But I'm happiest when I am in a stable relationship. And after my divorce, the dating apps, it was just kind of chaotic and I had a lot of first dates and yeah, it was a chapter. And I think that I was just trying to find my love who could love me for me. I think that was really my biggest thing that I wanted. I wanted to be myself and I wanted to be accepted and I wanted to be loved. And I was looking more for chemistry and connection and communication. I remember those 3 C's were important to me. And I would go on these dates, and if I felt that I was just going off of my gut, and could this be somebody that I have chemistry with, connection with, and that I can communicate with? And those were just really what I was kind of looking for at that time, along with my long list. Remember my list of all the things that I wanted in my future husband. But I was really learning how to trust myself during this season as well. I think after divorce and after leaving a high functioning religion, you're kind of like a little baby bird, and you're trying to get up and figure out life on your own again. And it comes with trial and error, and it comes by making mistakes and figuring them out. And I was having to really learn to trust myself and not going to outside sources for validation. I really wanted to learn that I had the answers in myself and that I could trust. And so I was dating based off of my gut and how I felt. And I wanted to share some like funny first date stories, but I think I blocked out most of them. Yeah, just a lot of first dates and not a lot of substance. I remember going on a date with one guy who he really did like me and kept asking me out, but I just was just like, he is not going anywhere. Like, I just kind of would look at these guys and be like, wow, like he does not have his stuff together. Like, I just kept dating these guys that seemed to kind of be like their own little shit shows. And um yeah, maybe that's why there weren't a lot of second and third dates, but that's okay. By the time I met my ex-fiance, I definitely was ready to get set. I had been 2.5 years since my divorce. I felt like, okay, I've had these single days. I feel like I've had a lot of fun and done what I wanted, but I was really ready to kind of get settled down again. And I think he was the first person that I really felt like, okay, this is a partnership that I think that we could really build something together. And I wanted to invest into that. So that's where I went for that 5-year relationship that ended last summer. And then now here I am again out into the world. And this time it's been different. I got out of that relationship and I was very, very clear about what I wanted next. My best friend Tiffany and I had this spa weekend planned in Arizona. We were going to like a spa resort where we weren't going to leave for the whole weekend, and we were so excited for it. And we planned it for a couple months. And then we were planning on just relaxing, but then my breakup happened like 48 hours before this trip. And I remember her being like, "Do you still want to go?" And I'm like, "Yeah, hello. If I'm going to just like be out of this relationship so fast, of course I want to be with my best friend at the spa for the weekend." So we flew to Arizona, and I remember they gave us this little journal at the spa, and oh, it was such a great weekend. Like, but I want to go back and on different terms. They gave us this little journal, and I remember just instantly journaling about my future. I was already so focused about what I deserve next. I think I just was extremely clear, and I just kept journaling and journaling and journaling, and it was just like, I am ready for that final love who just adores me, who spoils me, who treats me like a queen, like my real partner, where we just love all the same things and we want the same future and everything just lines up. I just left that all in my journal, and I just believed it so clearly. And then I remember Tiffany, we'd be talking about the breakup or something, and then I would just try to get my brain right back to the future, and I would say, okay, this is all okay. This breakup was good. It's what I needed. But next time, I'm going to get it right. Next time is going to be my final love. Next time, I'm going to show these boys that I can have a happy, healthy relationship, because here I am. I want to have that final love that I feel like I've taken all my lessons and I've learned it and I've learned who I am and I can get it right. So I remember being on this trip and just being very, very clear that that was what I wanted. I wanted just a smart man. I wanted an honest man. I wanted somebody who would talk about everything with me, and just have a lot of shared interests, and who just respected me and loved me, and always looked out for me, had my back in every way. And I just got really, really clear about what I wanted next. So I actually did things really differently this time. I didn't jump right into dating. I just got really clear with myself on what I wanted. And I spent a lot of time alone, like I've told you guys, just laying low and getting really in tune with myself so that I can trust myself to know my next move because I want that to be my last move. I want that to be my final relationship. And I didn't rush into partying or drinking or anything like that with this breakup. I really did just get internal, staying home, and treated it completely different. And really, the people, it's been really organic, the people that I've met. And I've wanted this next relationship to be starting with a friendship. And that was important to me too. And so I really just spent time making new friends. And that's when I joined um, my social club that's downtown Salt Lake City. It's called the Edison House. I joined that and it was like a 12-month commitment. And I was like, okay, I'm going to use this for work, but it'll be a good thing for me to get out and about and make some new friends. And I jumped into that and it was been so good for me just meeting new friends, meeting new people, having, organized things for me to do. And that was a really good move for me. Also, connecting with old friends who I've had in my life a long time. I have such amazing friends and just spending time with people that are already in my life. And I was like, I have, really good men in my life that are friends. Like, could any of these people be something more? And I spent time reflecting on that as well. But ultimately, this time, being single at 44 and getting back into the dating world, it was more of looking for alignment for me. It's about understanding like my history, my patterns, things that I can do differently, things that I want to heal from, things that I want to recognize in myself so that I can get it right next time. Learning that there's no rush to this, that I can be patient, that I can wait for that right person. I am not going to be with the first person who wants to be with me. And that's kind of how I felt in the past, marrying the first guy that wanted to marry me back at BYU. So I think the different stages for me, the college BYU Erin, she just really wanted certainty. She wanted that Mormon life that she had always been taught that she could have. And I think post-divorce Erin, she just wanted healing and she wanted security. Oh, definitely wanted those two things. And now Erin now just wants alignment. I just want everything to feel good. I just go off of how something feels. And if it feels good, I'm in. And I've been so lucky to feel that. And I've been having such great experiences that feel really good to me. I do believe it's because I've taken the time to really heal myself and really get to know myself and to really get honest about the future that I see for myself and my family and my future partner. So things that I learned through my dating phases through all those years. So chemistry is not the same as compatibility. Okay. Absolutely. You have to really understand that chemistry is so great. And of course we all want um that feeling and that excitement and everything. And that is just so important in a relationship. But that is not mean that somebody is compatible with you. You really have to look for chemistry with compatibility and communication. Those three things I really think have to go hand in hand. And just having the chemistry, that's going to fizzle out if you don't have the other two things. And taking the time dating and seeing, okay, is this chemistry or is this compatibility? Really getting clear with that. Second thing, people will tell you who they are through their actions. And you really have to watch the words and you have to just see the actions. And people can say whatever they want to say, but it really is how they follow up with it and the steps that they take to back up who they are. And I've been really watching that. The third thing, you can love someone and still not be right for each other, that love is really not enough. And that's such a sad reality in a way. You kind of grow up thinking of the fairy tale and that love is enough, but it really isn't. You can absolutely love somebody with all your heart and just know that they're not the right person for you at this phase of your life. And sometimes having to let go of that person, knowing that you both deserve to have a healthier relationship. Number 4, the relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship. I think if I could give one piece of dating advice, it would be just make yourself the best version of yourself so that you are ready for that love when it does come to you, when you attract it, because it is an energy thing. Number 5 would be go off of vibe. I think that is probably one thing that if anybody is single right now, just trust your gut and trust the vibe of anybody that you meet. I think that the world, we are kind of feeling this natural division in humanity, sadly, where it seems that like half the world is like spiraling down into chaos and craziness and oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think of politics as one of those things where it's just like creating some craziness in people. And then the other half of people are really kind of trying to block that stuff out and rise and keep improving themselves. I think that now more than ever, we have to go off of energy and vibe when it comes to dating. If you are constantly trying to improve yourself and look for the bright side of things, and you're just trying to stay positive and good energy, when you meet another person who is that way, it's going to come together really naturally, really easily, and you really don't have to wonder or worry about things. Um, I think in the past, people would date for years and years and years before getting married. I was one of those people in the past. But I think if you meet somebody and the vibe is there and the energy is there and it's a real match along with the chemistry, connection, communication. If you can have all those things at once, I think things are going to just be moving fast. I think things people are going to be meeting and connecting and staying together in such a different way just because the world that we're in right now, this is a different dating world that we were even in 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Where we are right now, we have to trust our gut and our energy because there are people really spiraling down a dark path right now with all the world events and the politics and stuff. And if you can find somebody who matches you up in an energetic way and with your vibe, go with it. I think that that is a beautiful thing, and you can really trust yourself to explore that. I don't think that dating really gets harder with age. I think that it just gets more honest. I think the older I've gotten, the more I know who I am and I really just know what I want. And I think you just know yourself better as you get older and you know what matters to yourself. You stop chasing potential. Oh my gosh. That's another please, guys, girls, if you are young, do not date a potential man. If you think I am guilty of this in the past too, you know what they could be. You know what they could be. Girls, they have to be the one to make themselves that way. You cannot love somebody into being their full potential. You know, at 44, I didn't expect to be single. Nobody really thinks that, but there is some beauty in it because now I have figured out myself enough and what I want to know that I trust myself to do better next time. And I trust myself to know myself better so that I can choose better and that I can ultimately be in a happy, healthy relationship. And maybe that is the gift of dating later in life. Not that you have everything figured out, but just that you have figured yourself out and you have figured out what you want, what you need, and what you're looking for. Thank you. Thank you for laying low with me today. Oh, it's a crazy world out there. It's crazy, but it's a beautiful world too. And there's lots of beautiful souls out there and there's lots of beautiful experiences. And it is really fun when doors open to those things and it is all worth it. I will always be that girl who loves love, who believes in love, who will always try again for love. That is who I am. Also, don't forget, I would love your listener questions. Go to laylowpod.com and ask one of your questions. Would love to have a little insight in what you would like to hear from me, and we will talk it out. It is going to be fun to start having these guests on. You guys, be brave, be brave. Tell your stories. It could be something like going through an addiction, loving somebody in an addiction. It could be a health issue, going through cancer. I'm thinking of my friend Monica right now, who I hope is brave to share her story. Another friend of mine went through a real near death experience that I would love to hear his thoughts on. I have so many people that I know are listening right now who have stories to tell, and I want you to be brave. I want you to think about how your story could help people, but also help yourself. It could help release something that you've been holding on for a long time. It could help you forgive yourself. It could help you forgive somebody else. Think about how sharing your story could really impact your life in a positive way because I know there are people out there that want to hear. And again, if you need to do that anonymously, I have no problem with that at all. One of my friends is going to come on. Oh my gosh, how we met about 8 years ago, and she's gonna come on, and we are gonna tell a wild story that ended with, a legal cease and desist. So, that is coming up. If it involves that, let's be anonymous, okay? But, I have just the best people in my life, and I can't wait to start sharing some of your stories. So, thank you for laying low with me, and we'll see you next time.